tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton, music, moments, and everything in between. I'm Sig Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson, aka Jerry the King Lawler.
And I'm good old JR. Shout out to Charles. How you doing, man?
Good. Feels good to be king. How's it feel to be a junior?
I don't think that's what JR stands for, but okay.
JR Junior?
I mean, for some people that definitely stands for junior, for sure. Um, no, I'm just represented by the greatest commentator of all time.
All right. I respect it.
Yeah.
That works.
But how you doing, man?
Good. Can't complain, man. Had a good morning. Everything's good. Yeah, everything's on the up and up, man. Like what's everything happening on your side?
Uh, it's okay. It's all right. As of this weekend, my other son will be 2 years old. So that's really what I'm planning on right now. So that's what's going on over there.
Nice. That's what's up, man. Congratulations on all that.
Yeah, yeah. One day, hopefully, I hope that there will be a little Mike just running around, causing havoc and doing what you do to me on a consistent basis, and that's terrorizing me.
I will say this. I promise if I do have a son, I'm not naming him Junior. Like in all seriousness, like the stuff I had to deal with my name, I'm not naming my son Junior. My son can have any other name, as long as it's not one of the Jackson's brothers' names, not as long as it's not Joe Jackson, anything like that. You know what I mean? So daughter, like I not even thought of a name, but I'm can't be Janet, can't be none of
Right.
them. So, but yeah, definitely no Michael Jr. But when the time comes, the time comes. You know what I mean? I don't want to say, oh, I'm on the prowl right now. You know what I mean? It's just like,
That sounds crazy.
yeah. It's one of those things where I've noticed so many people will just be like, oh, well, I need to look right now. And I'm doing everything in my power. I'm like, that's the reason why a lot of y'all end up in like 4 relationships a year and still not at where you want to be. Compared to me, where I'm like, I'm not necessarily looking, but I'm still at the starting line.
Mm.
Y'all keep going and ending back at the starting line. You might as well sit your ass down. Sit down and relax. You keep ending up where I'm at. So, hey, think about it.
That's a good point. How do you feel about Tiger Jackson?
I'm not naming him that, but he's cool. Shout out to Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag.
Today, man, we are reviewing I would say a often overlooked tape, maybe one that people don't even remember, especially some of the newer fans who have probably no idea about it. We're reviewing secondhamilton.blogspot.com.
Yes, sir. Oh, hold on. One more time. SegaHamilton.blogspot.com. Came out August 6th of 2010. We got a bunch of 2010 projects, that came out. I think I could understand why people would overlook this tape or just not know about it because number one, Charles has had so many blogs, one being SegaHamilton.blogspot.com. So I remember on one of the videos for this song, for one of the songs on this project, someone said, yeah, this is a great song. What's this from? Someone's like SegaHamilton.blogspot.com. They said, no, like I know that's where where you can find it at, but it's like, where is it? It's like, no, it's the same answer. Go on the blog to find the actual mixtape called that. I will say, I think there has been some times Charles has had some unique names for blogs and unique names for tapes where sometimes that can get a little confusing for some people. But yeah, this came out 2010. I did look up some things about this tape and some interesting things I found. Rap Radar, shout out to them. Charles was still getting some type of placements on blogs. And one of the things that they weren't really sure of was like, was this new music? Was it like recorded in the past? Because at one point, Charles, this is when he got in trouble, went to, the hospital and all that type of stuff, went to all that. And I think Elliot wrote this. It said, while Chuck is doing his time over in the Long Beach Medical Center, he released his newest mixtape containing new and unheard recordings. Hopefully this sounds crazy. Get it? Ha. Download here. I promise I did not make that up. And then the crazy part is, no pun intended, there's people in the comments that actually corrected him, like, bro, like he's been out of the mental hospital. Like that was like 2 months ago. What do you? I guess they just want to get their jokes off. So I'm like, all right. So that's what we're dealing with. A mixtape named after his blog that might be new and slash unrecorded or unheard stuff at that time. So there you go.
Yeah. First off, that was I'm gonna call it a different time. That was like about 14 years ago when that little post was made. So making fun of people and their mental problems was still not okay, but more acceptable to some people. Um, so that was trash. But yeah, this was a very interesting time, 2010. I think I talked to Charles recently, and we were talking about this tape for a little bit, not long, but he said that I want to say this was around the Nuco era, right? When he's tried to start that label.
Yeah, around that point in time where he had a new situation, not
Right,
a new deal, new
right.
situation. Get yourself in a new. I gotta find that clip, man. 'Cause I know that video is floating around the internet somewhere. And I feel like every time I mention that, no one knows what I'm talking about.
But yeah, I think he said that this tape was created in a dope slash trap house. Um, and you hear him mention Lord Piff on his tape, and that's who was kind of running the situation. Said that you can use this, the studio, whatever, to record whatever it is you need to do. The only caveat is that he had to include Amen on some songs. They had to put him on whatever. So that's an interesting little tidbit about there. And there's some other stories on this tape that actually happened, and it's part of this, part of the tape. You can hear it in the lyrics. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Do you remember your first time listening to this tape at all?
A little bit. There's certain songs that I definitely remember, but I think I just like gave the tape a glance, and then like listened to it like maybe once or twice because there's like I said, a few songs I remember. I'm like, but if you were to tell me, hey, this came from this tape, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that. I'd be like, yeah, I definitely remember maybe either the name or just like what Charles said, like in a bar or two on one of the songs. But not I remember the blog more. Like for example, like segahamilton.blogspot.com. I remember going on there, but just the actual mixtape, not as much. How about you?
Yeah, for some whatever reason, this tape still resonates with me, and maybe it is because it was a blog spot that I visited often. Because if you're an OG fan, the first one you remember is obviously charleshamilton.blogspot.com. Then there's all the other ones that was in, Windows Media Player that he says in the song. But I think the last one, besides the one that we go to now, that I remember vividly is secondhamilton.blogspot.com. So for whatever reason, this tape always stayed in my head, but I couldn't remember if it was for the music or if it was just a blog in that time period of when it came out. There is a song on here that I absolutely love. It's in my top X amount of songs ever. Like it's very high. So I remember it for that reason. Uh, but it's funny because I didn't remember it was on this tape. I thought it was on this tape, but when we looked at the playlist, it wasn't there. Confirmed it and whatsoever. But yeah, I remember the tape being okay.
Yeah, from the songs that I remember, I was like, yeah, this is cool, But like I said, it's like only a handful of times I heard it, and then I think we've had this conversation before. Maybe I didn't know if it was like an actual tape or not, because especially when I heard some of these songs, I don't know if I treated it like a full mixtape or if it was like unreleased, like the bonus and unreleased type of thing. So I was like, oh, this might be like one of those type of deals where it's like, oh, someone found some of these songs and Charles was just like, I have nowhere else to put these. Here you go. Here's a tape. Here's something to hold you guys over for.
Yeah. But we're gonna go through these, man. We're gonna give our top three. One of our favorite ways to review these tapes. Um, there were 11 in total based off some of the YouTube playlists after we updated it. Did you want to get into that secret one, or did you want to wait till later?
Sure, we'll talk about it now. So, like, I think it's gonna be a common occurrence now because, like I said, this might be like our third time, like having to change like a playlist or creating our own for this, just to
Mhm.
make sure everything's accurate. Because we want you guys, of course, watching the episodes, and as long as you're watching, make sure that you're listening to the playlist that we make as well. If there's already a playlist, we're not going to make one, but some of these have been outdated. Some songs aren't in the right order, whatever the case is. When we actually look up CH app, you see there's 11 songs on there. One was missing. We're like, all right, well, we'll just add that other one. When you look at the back of the art cover, this says there's 12 songs. The last song is called Intentions. When I look it up, it came out around the same time. It's a song with Amen, which is interesting. You spoke about that, saying, hey, Charles, you can use this, you know, as a reference or as a tool, but make sure Amen gets on some songs. So that would make sense if this is supposed to be on here, because that means that Amen's on like 2 songs on this project. But there's like a little extra name for Intentions. It's like Search Within or something like that. The other one that just says Intentions is just Intention. So I don't know if it's like the same song, if it's supposed to be on here or not. So Charles, if you are watching this, let us know. Is Intention supposed to be on this tape? Because on your actual blog, you know, you just have the 11 songs. Intentions is not listed on it. If it's supposed to be on there, we'll add it to the actual playlist. If it's not supposed to be on there, we'll just leave it as is. So there you go.
You want to start us off with the top 3?
Sure. So the song that I actually remember, I'll start with that. I'm not going to go in any particular order, but the song I definitely remember from this tape was Cat Stacks for President. So I remember there was someone that left a comment about I think they just like hated this tape. Apparently, they reviewed it, but I don't even know if they even listened to the whole thing. They were just like, "Oh well, Charles out here, you know, defending Cat Stacks and this and that, and blah 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 blah, and everybody's dissing her right now. Why are you saving her? She's a hoe, and this is." I'm like, did he even listen to the song? I don't think he listened to the song. I think this guy just wanted to dunk on Charles because, you know, he mentioned Cat Stacks, and it didn't seem like he was berating her, I guess. Anyway, I definitely remember this song for a couple reasons. Number one, Charles is on the clapback beat. I think you have to just like be a horrible rapper to do bad on that beat. That beat is fire.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody, my boy Kevin brought this up recently because you know, that beat belonged to Ja Rule, but anytime you hear that beat, I think everyone thinks of like some type of remix someone else did, not even Ja Rule's song. And Ja Rule didn't even do a bad job with the song. It's just that at that point, the war with him and 50 was like, it was already over. It was already done. You know what I mean? But and then I'm bringing up my boy Kevin because he brought up there's this song 50 did to the clapback beat, but he didn't even rap on it. He literally just like talked shit the whole time. The whole time. But back to Charles. Charles just gets on there, whatever, spits on there, you know what I mean, goes crazy for like 2 minutes or something like that. Just fire, flames, you know what I mean? And then they had the little hook where they just said what up Cat Stacks, and then like they had the little sound bites of her. And then the end of the song is her sound bite. And I remember seeing the video where she was basically saying, oh, Young Money, they're broke and they don't really got money and this and that. The only person that got money is Lil Wayne. And in the middle of the sound bites, I don't know who the dude actually was, but he was clowning her like, yo, like, you're talking about they're all broke, but you still fucked them. Like,
Yeah.
make that make sense. There's one part where she said, oh, the only person that has money is Lil Wayne, and he gave me $1,200 motherfucking dollars. And I'm like, hold on. For real, at this point, I'm like, Cat Stacks was like big. You know what I mean? Everybody knew about her. I think there's that video of her with Soldier Boy and all that back then. Anyway, I'm like, you're talking about they're broke, but you allegedly fucked Lil Wayne for $1,200. And I'm saying this correctly. This is what she said in the song.
No, I remember I heard it.
I'm making sure the StarChasers know. 1,200, which is $1,200. I'm like, does she mean 12,000? Because 12,000, I'm like, okay, that's okay, you know.
I'm gonna shoot her some bail. I was 14. That was like 14 or 15 years ago. Inflation is crazy. We gotta do the cash equivalent to what that was back then. That could have been a lot of money, bro.
The reason why I apologize, but I'm gonna have to deny the bail, man. I'm gonna have to deny the bail because all the shit she was talking, you know what I mean? If she just said, yeah, I get the name's Cat Stacks, but that's just technically one stack, not multiple stacks. For real, it's 1,200, not 1,000.
No, you're right. No, that's a
So,
fact.
so I'm like, yo, maybe she meant 12,000. And listen, for people that aren't good at math, please stop fucking doing that. Stop using hundreds if you don't know what that means. Yo, I got 4,500, like 44,500. Just do that.
Mhm.
I promise. I think my favorite part, she did snap on him because she said, that I can make you bad rock. She's like, no, I can make you bunk bad rock. But I'm like, okay, if they are like living in bunk beds and you still fuck them, you still sound crazy. So homeboy got a point, you know. And I'm like, if I was part of Young Money, I wish someone would have tried to like clown me. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, make my fucking bunk bed rock. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fuck around, put her in a headlock, hit her head against the headboard, make the bed rock. Shit, suck the whole dick off. That's a headshot. Let me chill. Let me chill. Let me chill. Let me chill. Sorry. That beat in Charles's verse just got me inspired. All
Right.
right. So next song, Totally Awesome. I'll keep the rest short. Totally Awesome. It sounds like an Eminem beat, like something like from early 2010s, like or late 2009, like from
I believe it is. I believe it is an Eminem beat. I can't remember what the song is though.
yeah. Um it has that, it just has that like Eminem sound to it. You know what I mean? Where it's like you could tell it's like Eminem will rap on that because like almost anyone else, I don't know. But it's the second song on the project. I'm like a lot of energy in your face compared to the first original song that's on there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Charles raps on there again, just like just a little hook at the end and a chorus, you know, but like sometimes that just works. You rap for like 40 something bars, hook chorus, we out. Dope song, like it.
Yeah.
Third, I would say 9 to 5.
Okay.
Uh 9 to 5. And all of these are, I mean, almost all the songs are kind of similar where there's like maybe a hook or maybe not a hook. But Charles talks about the industry, wanting to control them, tell them what to wear, what to do. And it sounds like he's like, you know what, it might be better to get a 9 to 5. But at the same time, if you've never had a 9 to 5 compared to the industry, and then you go back to doing a 9 to 5 after being in the industry, that's a tall order just because so many people could be like, yo, aren't you Charles Hampton? Aren't you the Brooklyn Girls guy? You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
sometimes that type of stuff just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Um, one thing that was interesting that he mentioned was that Gauchos, because he said, yo, Gauchos, it wasn't good. Just admit it. You know what I mean? Just it is what it is. He said he sold out. And it's crazy because I remember when Gauchos came out, and I'm like, yeah, this is not really my cup of tea.
Mhm.
But he did say still, but buy it, don't steal it, y'all. You know? And I was like, man, I wonder if the way he felt about Gauchos is how he feels about Hamilton Charles, the album. Because of course he said, you know, he did it for the fans, but at the same time, I'm like, Gauchos, I can't even put on the same level as like Hamilton Charles. You feel me? I feel like with Gauchos, completely not even him. I've heard some StarCHasers like, Hamilton Charles isn't really him, but I'm like, Gauchos is so far like not even going left. I'm like, just left field. Like, no, that
Yeah.
doesn't suit him at all. But other than that, 9 to 5, great verse he spit on there. So those are my top three. What are yours?
9 to 5. I want to just. I think in that one, does he mentioned Josh on that one, right?
Yeah.
So in that song, the way he says, "I was gonna take a dime bag over to Josh," and da da. When he says that, real story. Apparently
Okay.
got caught by the dude at the house or whatever. Told him never take from a drug dealer or whatever or whatnot. So that's a real thing that happened according to Charles or whatever. Yeah, 9 to 5 is a good record. Um, Gauchos. Wasn't Gaucho, didn't Gauchos end up on My Heart?
Technically, I think it
Yeah.
did. I thought it was like a Lucy for
Yeah.
a while, and then I guess they were like, yeah, let's put it on here. So
Because it was an iTunes single, and I remember buying it. I remember buying it, and I remember being like, uh-uh. But when I talked to Charles, he was like, yeah, he had said something about My Heart. He was like, there needs to be something on this tape that reminds my already built fan base of what I do. And he said most of the stuff on there isn't isn't his normal style. And when you look back at it, and we'll review it one day, when you look back at it, it definitely seems like he was aiming for something that just wasn't him at the time. And Gauchos is the perfect example of just total left field. What is this? This isn't what we normally hear from Charles or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is ugh. But yeah, I like your choices. Cat Stacks thing is funny. Did you understand the hype of Cat Stacks? Like seriously?
Me personally, no, but just overall, like, because all it takes is because, like, if you look at her face, especially back then, it's like she didn't have like the greatest face, but like, I think it was like around that era where like, wasn't Kim Kardashian starting to get big, and like, or if she wasn't already, it's like people were just like, oh, if they look even a quarter exotic, yeah, that's the one for me. And then all it takes is like if you have a big chest, big butt, that's literally all it is. Like you can insert whatever face there, it doesn't matter. But I think people were just like, oh, And then I didn't mention it, but Superhead, you remember she was big too. So
Yep.
people were just like, oh, well, what I mean? She's going to be the next. I think that's what people were saying. She's supposed to be the next, Superhead. So I think that's just maybe people just bigging her name up that big, and then I don't think she ever got to that level. Like I know obviously a lot of rappers, smash, but overall for me, I'm like, no, no.
Yeah, I think, and it's not about her, but just for her sake, I feel like she was ahead of her time too. Like her rise of stardom happened too early. If that had happened like a few years later, when like Instagram and stuff got bigger, and like the whole Instagram model thing where all the NBA players and all the athletes and all the rappers and all them, they treat them like celebrities. Oh, she would have been out of here, bro. She could have easily accidentally stumbled into being Amber Rose.
She could have. I think. I think she still would have flopped though because she's out here, fucking for $1,200. So she could have fucked for 12,000. She could have.
She has bad negotiation skills.
Yeah. Like, hey, you want a C note? Oh, hell yeah. Does she know what a fucking C note is? I think the money management, she ran herself dry.
Yeah, in two ways. I think I think did she also end up getting deported or something?
She man,
She had definitely some legal issues.
legally and illegally. No, let me stop. I don't know. I quote that a lot. Shout out to Lupe.
But yeah, man, shout to Cat Stacks, man. My three, first and foremost, absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time is Jamaris. I love that song. I think that verse is crazy. I think it's the reason we couldn't put it on like the love playlist was because it's actually dedicated to a girl, whatever. But I think that's one of my favorite like relationship, like I'm talking to a girl records that Charles has. I really, really love that record. He's really spitting some fire on there. Um, Fun fact, also about talking to Charles actually gives us a lot of information. You remember on, I want to say it was, I think it's Boy Cried Wolf on Pink Lava Lamp, where he's talking about the girl, my high school crush was hot.
Yeah.
That's Jamaris apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's really interesting. But yeah, that record's so smooth. It's one of the ones where it's like it's a perfect song, but I still kind of wish we got like a second verse, maybe like even an extended hook. But he's like, it's a smooth, just talking his shit thing. He's getting this shit off there, and I really like that record a lot.
Feelings get me tipsy. To be a gentleman, I just kissed your hand. You blushed. I felt bigger than if the Empire State Building lands in Japan. We did what we did, fell out cause of circumstances, selfishness, lust, and turning into a bandit. I got a deal, we nearly reconnected. You heard me on a few songs, clearly disrespected. Last night I hit the stage, hit you on Facebook, you were near me in a second. Niggas was like, you the baddest in my life. You got thicker, shit, ass was looking right. Now, that's pretty much the end of the verse. I got a hook, but I'm just gonna look at you and shit.
If Neverland Ranch next.
All right.
Mainly because when I listen back to that song now, Charles was really telling us exactly what he was feeling, but it just sounded good. Like, I don't love fame. I wasted my money just giving money to the homies. I'm lonely. Like, he was really talking about how he felt at the time, and we were just sitting there like, oh, vibing out like, oh, this is crazy. Even the first verse, I think he said, selling the binge 3, 2 for $5, enough for some chicken wing juice and fries. Like, that's kind of crazy, especially in the position that he's in at this time period. But it's such a dope, and like, it's a revealing and like open record, but still sounding good or whatever. So I like that a lot. And then from the desk of the whole it's not the full song, but it's like the sample of it, right?
Yeah,
I just like the way that is. You've heard the original Ho, right? On from the desk of.
I have. Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I like this version better.
Agreed. I actually I've heard from the desk up. I had to go back and listen to it just to, pinpoint. And I was like, yeah, this does sound better. At the same time, you got to think about it. Like Charles said, it was like 2005 when he,
Yeah.
re-recorded it. It was like 5 years later. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and then we're going back now, like 15 years or whatever, even 20 years basically now, where it's just like, man. So it's one of the things where it's interesting where you hear a song from like his first like mixtape ever
Mhm.
compared to him re-recording it on a different beat, and sometimes that it usually is going to sound better, but I think the flow he had just fit better on this beat that he used on this tape
Mhm.
compared to the other one. But
Yeah,
go
the
ahead,
beat
I'm listening
change
to
is
it.
definitely what does it to me because it's basically the same one from Pleasant Overthinking or whatever. Um, but I like the concept of it too, and just that he's the hoe because he just keeps falling in love with women quickly or whatever, which has always been a Charles thing. It's very similar to Charlie Brown. I feel like Charlie Brown's the same way. He saw that little redhead girl and he was like, "Yep, that's my junk right there," but could never lock it down. But I like that record. It's a good record. Um, Mike, who does give the better neck? Is it Superhead or is it Lil Kim?
I was going to ask you about this 'cause I'm like, yeah, we gotta have the discussion. um First of all, it's wild that he even started the song like that because it's a bunch of them talking, and then they're saying about who got the best head. I'm gonna say Superhead just because I've seen it. I've actually seen it. I can't speak for you, but I haven't seen any video of Lil Kim, giving head. I know she said allegedly she can make a Sprite can disappear with her mouth, which is wild. And we talking about Sprite can, not like a Sprite bottle, which would be crazier, but a Sprite can.
Yeah,
That's like girth and shit
yeah,
like
that's thick. Pause.
that. I'm gonna go with Superhead. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like you just have to give it to the woman who just is only known as Superhead. Like we know her name now, but at the time we were just no, that's Superhead, and that's it. That's your name.
Real quick, I just remember it was like my oldest brother had like a video or something like that, and I forget the dude's name that used to be in the videos, but he was like one of them dudes that was like everywhere at that time. And I think the video was called like Honey. And all I remember was like, he was looking for her in the video or something like that. Like, oh, where you at? She said, "It's Honey, motherfucker," or some shit like that. And I'm just like, yeah, so Superhead for the win.
Yeah, it definitely has to be her. But
Oh,
yeah, those
wait,
those are my three, man. I like those a lot.
real quick. We should probably ask Lil Wayne because Lil Wayne apparently Superhead. Uh, what's her name? Cat Stacks. I don't know about Lil Kim, but maybe he could have. So
It's possible, man. Shout out to Wayne, man. What
yeah,
what a roster. What a roster,
Nikki allegedly
bro. Lauren London, like this dude was like he was putting up numbers, triple doubles,
every day, every day.
triple doubles. I guess that's what happens when you can rap.
Hey man, I need to step my game up then because I'm not getting no damn triple doubles or nothing. So Hey, real quick, because the two songs, the other songs you named, it was Jamaris, which is
Mhm.
dope. I remember you said it'd be cool if he had like a second verse. It's funny because I think he ended the verse and then he's like, "Yo, I got like a hook, but I'm gonna just stare at you."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yo, that's just wild," just
And I was like, or you could just do the hook and give me that
yeah,
second verse. But it's cool, bro. But he goes crazy on that.
yeah, because like for an audio thing, it's just like, okay, you can stare at her all you want, but for rest of us, we're just getting instrumental. So I'm like, oh, I guess we're just getting instrumental for the rest of this. Okay, cool, I guess, But then eventually, he talks shit. And he's like, yo, it's always dope to have a chick shorter than you. I know you can attest to that because you're taller than fucking everybody. You know,
Yep,
for,
that's been my life for a long time.
yeah. So for you, that's just easy like buckets. Everyone shorter. For me, I'm like, yeah, I agree. I've never actually had a taller woman, but at the same time,
Really?
like, I wouldn't mind. I mean, so my thing is this, because I'm like 5'9", 5'10". So the thing is like, that's like quote unquote average height for regular guys.
Hmm.
But most girls I've been with, like I said, have been shorter. So it's like, okay. But if a girl was like, let's say she was 6'2", right? If I actually had a connection with her, okay, whatever.
Yeah, why
But
not?
yeah, but I definitely agree with when a chick shorter, especially in heels too, because it's a little bit different. If it's like, oh yeah, you're shorter than me, then it's like,
Yeah.
all right, take the heels off. I don't like that. I don't like that shit. And then Neverland Ranch, dope song. He rapped on the Tony Ayo Pimpin' beat. I always
Hmm.
like that song originally, and I know we talked about that before. I think this is a dope freestyle that he did to it, so it's cool. And Charles kind of like explained like just maybe like foreshadowing, I guess you could say, because of course him not liking the money, not liking the dough, he just wants to change music for the better. And then he mentioned Simone at the end because he's
Yeah.
like, "Yo, Simone told me, if I don't get the dough, what I mean, she's got to go or I gotta go." So it's like, yeah, man, like it's real, it's real.
Yeah. It kind of it based off of just everything we've kind of learned about Charles over the years. It does seem like there were a lot of people around him that were around for the money and for like the fame, like, oh, he's about to be on, so we about to be hitting red carpets, we about to be going to this and that. And then as soon as that dried up, a lot of those people left. And some of it was, was Charles is doing, he can have his moments or whatever. But I think it was like a 50-50 type, 50-50 type of thing where there were just too many people around him that were just like, oh yeah, we're hanging out, we're doing this. And then when he can't provide that anymore, then it was like whatever.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Of course, we only know Charles for like what he says in the music and what he's explained to us. We don't
Mm,
actually know the people he's been in contact with,
right.
but it's still one of those things where like you know you see it, we see it for our own eyes. Where it's like there's certain people around, certain people that aren't anymore, and so many people that if they were in Charles' position, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that. It's like, well, go ahead and do it. But it's
Yeah.
like, do y'all have the determination, the drive to actually, do y'all actually understand what I got to go through to get this dough or get this fame that I don't even necessarily want. Charles said it multiple times. Y'all just give it back, whatever. Don't care. So, um, at the end of the day, I think just Charles being true to himself has always worked out because it's just like all those people, many snakes, vultures, whatever you want to call them, in the industry, outside the industry, like he was able to separate himself from them. So it's like, hey, sometimes it works out better than you think it does. Just because the visual doesn't look as beautiful as you think, it's like you still have your piece, you still have yourself at the end of the day. So
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the songs that maybe missed the mark on your end.
okay, so I will say this first song I'm gonna say is going to be with a little bit of contention because I don't think the song missed the mark. It's just how I feel about it now. Decency Police. So here's the thing with the song. Charles is going crazy on the song, just
Hmm.
rapping the whole time. 8 minutes rapping, you know.
Yeah.
And this is no knock to Charles. I don't want to hear anybody rap for like past like 5 minutes. Like
Okay.
so that's my thing with it. It's just like I like I said, I heard the song multiple times and I'm like, oh, it's cool. But this is of course in the era of rap where like people had those type of songs where it's like, yo, I'm gonna rap for like 6 minutes. I'm gonna have a 6 minute song, just me rapping the whole time, no hook, no nothing. Someone else, I'm gonna have a 7 minute song. I'm gonna have an 8 minute song. Joe Budden
Yeah.
has like multiple 10 minute songs, 8 minute songs, and all that. And I love those songs, but guess what? I gotta
Yeah.
be like the right mood to listen to them. Like if I'm just like listening to this for like whatever, like I don't want to hear like an 8 minute song, just someone rapping on the same beat or whatever. So he didn't do a bad job. Did a great job spitting on there.
Mm.
Also, he I'm pretty sure he did it in one take because around the 6 minute mark is when he like kind of messed up and he got back on track. But it's like,
Yeah.
bro, like someone just rapping for 6 minutes, period, is just is wild. So shout
Yeah.
out to him. But I think for just this mixtape or playlist, whatever you want to call it, I'm like, yeah, I just personally don't want to hear like 6 minutes of someone rapping, 8 minutes of someone rapping just on the same beat. So that I just want to say that. Not that the song's bad, technically, it's just don't want to hear that.
I get it.
For that one.
I get it. I don't want everybody to do it. Not everybody should do it. I'll say that because like one of my favorite songs, and everybody should know, is when Lupe Fiasco Mural. That's an 8 minute record, and I think that's a masterclass in rapping. You know what I'm saying? As far as like rapping or whatever. So
Mhm.
it can be done, but you have to do it masterfully and have to do it. You have to be engaging or whatever. And I'll say that this possibly could have been shorter, but Charles's energy is so high on the record that it kind of you can kind of be engaged throughout the entire thing or whatever. And even that stumble kind of brings you back if you've probably been lapsing or whatever. Cause you're like, oh wait, what happened there? And then he just keeps going again for another 2 minutes. So I do understand what you mean though. He's rapping, but like you probably could have made like 4 or 5 minutes. I get it.
Yeah, and the thing is, Charles has also had like multiple like freestyles on like Ustream
Mm,
or just like songs like that. Even like that double XL thing where he was like rapping for like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. There's actual multiple, I think, double XL ones. There's like that one from like 2010 era where he
yeah.
just came there in the wheelchair. If y'all know that one, check that video out. Cause that was just I remember that was random where it's like, yo, why is Charles in a wheelchair? Um, but yeah, it's not a bad song. Like I said, great freestyle, whatever. It's like I said, just I don't always want to hear something for like 8 minutes. So um other than that, I would say I guess another caveat. I like the song he said from Desk of Ho. I wish he was able to keep going with that. So I don't hate
Yeah.
that. Like I said, if he was able to do like the whole song like that, but of course, if you wrote something in 2005 and someone told you to spit it verbatim from 2010, probably not gonna be able to do that. So um I guess I'll say Blogger Dashboard. It's a cool song. It's not like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like I'm like, it's okay. I think
Mhm.
overall there's nothing really I like dislike. There's songs I'm like, oh, I really like this, and other songs I'm like, it's okay. So I would say those would be like maybe mine that might have missed the mark. Like I said, it's for various reasons where it's like either it's too long or just didn't engage me enough, but nothing bad per se.
Yeah, I feel like hmm, for me, I know you like Totally Awesome, and it's not bad rapping. I think it's the beats. I've never really the thing with Eminem beats, man, bro. It's they are hit or miss. So like, and this isn't the first. What is the other one that we've done? Crack a Blogger. There was that one. That was an Eminem joint. I think that was Eminem 50 and all of them. Which
Mhm.
technically is a Dr. Dre beat, if we're really being serious.
That won a Grammy. Won a Grammy.
Right, you feel me? So it's like I don't know. I just that those beats aren't always hit on. So like even if he's rapping well, you're like, I don't want to listen to this, bro, because it just sounds yeah. And the hook is okay. It gets kind of uh what's the word I'm looking for? It gets kind of gear grinding ish because it's like it's repetitive, I guess. Um I feel like the same way about Blogger Dashboard. It's there. I don't dislike it, but it's one of the ones where it's like you've already kind of mentioned Blogger Dashboard on the intro. What's that? Flirting with my old iPod, I think is what it's called, or what is that's what
My
it's
old
called, right?
sounds. Flirting with
Flirting
my
with my old
old
sound. I'm
sound.
sorry. Text on the iPod was a different song. But you might, my Blogger Dashboard or whatever. So I was like, is this a connection to that song? I feel like you could either combine those two or do something different there. I mean, other than that, I guess my high is okay. I don't know if it needs to. I thought "Friend from the Desk of Ho" ended the tape, and that would have been fine. Just kind of ride off on that. When you bring it back with my high, and it's like a 2 minute song, I feel like you could have just readjusted that, maybe move that to a different spot, and it probably would have felt better in the flow of things. But other than that, I feel like everything was okay. I do want to give a shout out to Previous Post. I think Previous Post is probably the sleeper pick of the tape for me.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people definitely feeling a certain way if we didn't mention that one. And it's one of those things where when Charles actually gets other people on a song, we expect some top tier caliber rapping, and I feel like that's on there. And
Yeah,
for me personally, I feel that it doesn't happen all the time, but in this situation, I won't say Charles got out rapped, but I think the other guys did better on the song. It was because he said it was an ABC conversation for their names,
which was
so
cool.
yeah, so I'm like, because at first I'm like ABC, because I was thinking about the order of how they went. I'm like, Charles is going first, but I'm like, well, of course Charles is going to go first because y'all know Charles. But I'm like,
Yeah,
what does he mean by ABC? But I'm like, oh, okay, but it was Amen and B Young, so shout out to them. It's one of those things where Charles will always do a great job where we're going in on beats and snapping on them. And I think for some of the people he will rap with, like they are usually like kind of similar to like the Young Nate thing, where like they have like the hood type of bars or like the
mhm,
gunplay and all that, and like sometimes certain beats just fit better. You know what I mean? So I think like with them, they did a little bit of a better job just because like their voice catered to it better. You know what I mean? Their bars catered to it better and whatnot. So,
yeah,
but Charles definitely like opened up the floor and did it well. He did the John Stockton, he did the Steve Nash. He
yeah,
passed it. Made sure that they got to their positions and made their baskets. So definitely a cool song.
yeah. Also, I would like to take back my statement about Blogger Dashboard. I actually like that song. It's a decent song. I just wish it was longer. It just felt like it was too long. It's like a 4 minute song, like almost 5 minutes. But like I feel like he only does like a minute 45, 2 minutes of rapping.
Yeah.
But it just could have been like shorter. Like that 2 minute and nine that my high has, just make that the same here. I think that would be my critique of that song.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else on this tape before we rate it?
Not that I know of. I will say this. How do you feel about the cover? Because that's another thing that people were saying on Rap Radar and then other spots where, Charles, this has been going on for a long time. People were just hating Charles's cover arts. Like I think there might be like one or two for this one, but like the one that I seen online was like, this black background, Sega Hamilton blogspot. So people were just, can someone get someone to like give him a better, art
Yeah.
covers and this and that? I remember Death of the Mixtape Rapper. People hated that. And I'm like, I thought it was kind of cool, but
Which one?
Death of the Mixtape Rapper, there's
With
people that
Shadow?
people hated that one. I'm like, well, it's the gun and I don't know. I don't
People complain a lot. But it's crazy because the style that he was using for like that specific particular one was the style of the time. It was just usually it was just the people. It was like the actual person instead of like a video game character. But like that was the style of the time.
Yeah, I like I said, I think for that one, I was like, that's dope. And also, I'm like, okay, if he's doing the whole Sonic thing or whatever, like, I think for people that just didn't know who he was, they're just like, oh, this is just lazy. Like, I think they said that a lot about like just Charles. Charles said that about himself in one of the songs about 9 to 5. I work so hard to be lazy, and I think that's what a lot of people just get from his art cover sometimes. Like, oh, he's just being lazy, like just putting something out there, and it's like. I can understand at least with this art cover because like I said, it's nothing really there. It's just says Charles Hamilton, Sega blogs, Sega Hamilton blogspot, and I'm like, okay, I could get it for this one, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe this wasn't supposed to be as like grand as other
Right.
people wanted it to be. I'm like, it's just a tape for this one. This is not like an awkward. This is not like and then they played Dilla. It's like this is just a mixtape. So.
Yeah, I'm more fond of the Sonic one. Sonic Tails and Knuckles in the ring. That's a little bit more creative, a little more effort put into that one, right? Um, does it really match the vibe of it? I think that's what really gets Charles with covers. Is like sometimes it doesn't match the title of the record or the other tape or whatever. or you're too busy trying to connect what he's doing on the cover to what the title of the tape is. And this one is, it's just it's difficult because it's just the name of the blog. So you can put anything there, or you can just put secondhandwilson.blogspot.com. So sometimes you just got to keep it simple, but sometimes simple can be complicated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think overall, I'm not sure when that other cover was made, what Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, but shout out to any whoever made that cover, because I do know that we talked about it on one episode before where there is a blog out there that has like alternate covers
Yep.
that other Star Chasers have made, and then they give them their props and shout out. So I'm assuming later on that's when that got like created, because when I first heard this project, it didn't have any art cover at all. It did, even on YouTube now, like the Sega one we're talking about, like the original one that's like kind of blank, that's not on there. It's like random pictures of Charles from like, in his career. Just like random pictures that people use. Like I know for I forget what tape it is, but it's around this era where it's like there's a picture of Charles where like he has tape over his mouth. I remember like seeing.
Oh, yeah.
I
God,
remember
I forgot what that's called.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on his blog originally, like that picture. And then I'm like, okay, I guess people like that's another reason why I'm like, is this actually a mixtape, like an official one, or what? Because I remember seeing that a lot. Like people just using random pictures of Charles like that. Like, oh well, this is what we're using for this art cover, whatever. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you're giving your take, and it's one of those things where it's like, listen, focus on the music, because you know how Charles is. It's like focus on the music. Don't read too much into this. So. That's all I got for that.
Yeah, I think that tape was called the Charles Hamilton Project, maybe.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like
Maybe
that's what it'd be called.
because there's a lot of good songs on there too. But even then, like there's a new cover for that on certain people's playlists. But yeah, I do remember that one where it's like tape on it, and then somebody's like, "Yo, there's a booger in his nose." I remember that. Yeah, that's I remember that being one of the comments on there. It was like, "Oh yeah, there's a booger." I was like, "Bro, like, what are you still? Are you here for the music, or are you here to stare at my man's face, bro? That's crazy." Yeah, yeah. Charles and covers are always interesting. But shout out to that blog. I did run across that blog recently and saw it. That was a fun time being able to, if you did like a cover, people were making creative ones. You could just put it on your iPod, change the thing. Spotify took a lot of things from us, man. Spotify, Apple, all the streaming. They took a lot of fun and creative things from us, but I also enjoy having music at my fingertips. So life's about balance.
Yeah, true.
But we just listened to secondhamilton.blogspot.com in 2024, man. So let me know what you are going to give it as far as a review, any pros and cons, and what character rating are you giving it, Mike?
All right, for this project, Charles is doing a lot of rapping on here. You know what I mean? And this is like, I think most of these are like beats already that are in the industry and all that. So it's been a while since we've done a tape like that. Like I said, the rapping's great. Some beats, like you said, like with Eminem, rapping on certain beats, certain people aren't going to feel them, and that will like maybe make or break what you feel about a certain song, because you can be like, I don't even want to hear the rapping because I hate the beat. For me, most of these beats are pretty great. There's not really a beat I like dislike or anything like that. I would say kind of similar to, like I said earlier, death of a mixtape rapper, where the songs are good, but I think it's just that format of like rapping on other people's songs where I hear it now, I'm like, this is still good, it's still cool, but like, I want to hear like more songs, structured songs these days. So like overall, I can't rate it like super low. You know what I mean? I can't give it like a Mecha Sonic being like, oh, I've heard better. I mean, there are tapes that are better, but this is still like a really good tape. It's pretty nice. I don't think I could just give it like a base Sonic, because it's like, oh, that's just a good tape overall, because there's other tapes I probably would want you to hear. So I will pick someone from that art cover, Tails or Knuckles, and I think I'm going to go with Knuckles.
Okay.
I'll go with Knuckles because, like I said, there's certain highs and lows from the tape. You know what I mean? There's certain stuff where I'm like, yeah, it's definitely up there. The rapping's up there, the beats up there, references, it's fire. And then other stuff where it's like a little bit lower. We know, if you know the character of Knuckles, he's had his high and low moments, and I'm like, this kind of sounds like that type of tape. It's not a bad tape at all. It's good. There's its highs and lows, and I think people should check it out. There's going to be other tapes that you might be more inspired by, but I'm like, this definitely deserves a listen. So I'll go with Knuckles.
Okay, I respect that. Respect that. Yeah, this is an interesting one because it does go back to like the mixtape format of like rapping over other people's songs. So those are always kind of hard to judge, basically, because it kind of strips away the part of the Charles Hamilton experience, which is the beats that he makes, like sometimes the chops or whatever samples he's gonna flip. So that takes that part away. So then you really have to focus on the rapping and the song structure. And a lot of these, like we said, is just him rapping, him just getting his raps off, being able to rap, exercise his rapping versus making song. Um, a lot of songs don't have hooks, or if they do have hooks, to like one time, and then that's it. So if you're looking for song Charles, like song composition Charles, this might not be the tape for you. But if you're interested in his rapping, I feel like this is something that you would definitely want to listen to because he is doing some pretty good rapping here. Overall, I would say that I did like this tape, and I think it's something that people who may not know this tape or haven't heard this tape should go and seek out. Maybe not right away, but soonish. So I'm gonna go with a different character on that list, and I'm gonna go with Tails. I think it's an underrated gem. I think it's one that in the midst of that, in the same year that those 6 tapes came out in 2010, I think this one gets overlooked because it's like the month after that. People only remember July. Um, but I think you should go seek it out. It's a good tape. There's some stuff here. It definitely listens to Jamaris. I think that's a great record. But yeah, I would say Tails. Tails is the proper rating for me for this one.
Okay, dope. And I understand if people have a hard time like looking for this tape, just because if you look up SegaHamilton.blogspot, first thing's gonna pop up is like the old blog, which is no longer there anymore. So then you're just like, okay, so what am I looking at? What am I looking for? And then you'll see some other stuff where like eventually you have to scroll down a little bit. So you might have missed it if you've never heard of it, or if you are a new Charles Hamilton StarCHaser fan. So yeah, either way, definitely check it out.
Absolutely. And remember, if you want to find some tapes, man, just go to the Charles Hampson app. I think that was it, charleshampsonapp.com. Is that what it's called?
I have it favorited CH app. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's actually very clutch. Let me make sure that that's what it. Yeah, charleshamilton.app. If you type that in, you'll have access to pretty much every Charles Hamilton tape there is. Mostly, it's most of them, and there's a lot. So go check that out. But let us know how you feel about SegaHamilton.blogspot.com, the tape, not the blog. If you were there for the blog, you can let us know how you feel about that too. Good times. Be sure to follow us, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I found funny. Somebody was talking recently on an interview. I think it was a basketball. It was Grant Hill. And Grant Hill was like, yeah, I saw it on Twitter. It's like, no one calls it X, by the way. No one does. We're not calling it that. It's just going to get that up. Elon should just I don't know why he likes letters and shit. He names his kid after letters and symbols and bullshit like that. That's why they don't love him. Anyway, be sure to follow us on Twitter at StarCH Central. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I'm at StickAround54 on Twitter and Instagram. That's STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
Before you guys try to find me, I thought that they didn't love him because he was a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Elon.
Oh no, that too.
Yeah. That guy sucks. You know what I mean? But anyway, you guys can find me on Instagram at the Mike Jackson, THE Mike Jackson, on Twitter. Shout out to Grant Hill. He played for the Pistons, right?
He did.
Yeah. One of my favorite players. Anybody at 3-point, you know what I mean? Cool. But anyway, for Twitter, you know what I mean? Mike D Jackson, Mike D-E-E Jackson. That's 1 D, 2 E's. I'll add me. Make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter, not X. Not X. At Charles Hamilton. Make sure you guys are subscribed to him on his YouTube at The Talented Mr. Hamilton, where I know he hasn't dropped any like new songs, but he's still doing his lives. He's still doing the lives every Friday. Make sure you subscribe to him because you never know. He might do an extra live. Who knows?
And he's playing new songs on there, and they're fire.
Yeah, new songs that haven't been released yet. So, not sure when they're going to be released yet, but if you want to hear some new music or new beats, definitely need to check them out. Also, a good thing about this, even if you're busy on a Friday, you got to work, whatever, Charles, he has them uploaded, so you can always go back and look at them anytime. It's not like if you blink, you miss it, like the Ustream days. No, these are archived. So make sure you guys are checking those out. And then last but not least, make sure you guys are checking out his blog. Enter the Hamilton.blogspot.com. That is the current, I guess, main one compared to the multitude of blogs Charles has. But yes, enter the Hamilton.blogspot.com.
Yes, sir. Also, as you know, man, I got this Charles Hampton merch on right now. I believe he calls these the Bow Skull shirts. So make sure you get some Charles Hampton merch. He has some t-shirts, hoodies, stickers. So go support our man. He worked on these, and he says some more variety of stuff will be coming soon. So go ahead and grab you some of those. Grab a hoodie if you're in a colder state, but if you're not, maybe wait till 2 or 3 months from now.
Definitely. A lot of you guys always talk about, you want to support. Of course, Charles will always tell you guys, hey, if you can donate, especially on the lives, if you can't donate and you're like, hey, I would love to get a shirt, bro, the proceeds, this is all him and his cousin that helped out with that, shout out Mark Q. So make sure you guys, help out in any way. You know what I mean? Spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Now let the hook play.
That is how it goes. That's how it goes. Jerry, do you want to say anything for the people before we get out of here?
Nah, I'm good. Take us out, Junior.
Well, that was one big slobber knocker. Pause. We are sliding out the StarCHaser Central podcast, man, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.
They call me crazy, but